Welcome to my 239th video on my work with OO gauge. This video will feature some old Trix coaches that I picked up on eBay, with the idea of running them on my Dublo 3-rail railway. Spoiler, I did get 3 of the Trix coaches to run on my Dublo tracks, but I had to replace the wheels to accomplish that, and I also redid the glazing of the coaches, as all of them came with broken glazing. I was, a little while ago, thinking in terms of doing a single video on non-standard coaches for my Dublo railway, featuring several types that I had on hand, waiting to be worked on and put into service. But it turned out that there were more complications involved than I originally contemplated. So my previous 2 videos dealt with articulated coaches, a pair that I bought on eBay and then an extra one that I fixed up myself to make an articulated rake of 3. Now this video will deal with the Trix coaches, and then I still have a bunch of kit-built LMS coaches on Dublo chassis that I picked up at a local train show, and those will get their own video shortly. Though that one should be more straightforward, as I would expect those coaches to run okay as they came, being built on actual Dublo chassis. But we shall have to see. Here are the Trix coaches as I got them, 7 in all. I didn't really need 7 of these, but a bit of redundancy never hurts for spare parts and all, and anyway they were sold as a single listing on eBay UK, and they weren't all that expensive. They're a bit of an odd mixture. I don't know what LMS coaches Trix made, but what we have here is 4 brake thirds and 3 dining cars. The Trix coaches are quite small, and I don't believe that they were ever intended to be actual scale models of anything real. Here's one of the Trix brake coaches compared to a Dublo tinplate non-corridor coach. The Dublo Crimson tinplate coaches are themselves short for scale, and the Trix coaches are even shorter. Here you can see one of the Trix dining cars below a Dublo LMS coach from the Duchess of Atholl train set, and above the Dublo coach is an Airfix scale model of an LMS 57-foot composite coach. Now, the 57-foot composite coaches were about the shortest modern, for their time, coaches run by the LMS. Stannia's steel mainline coaches were mostly 60 feet in length, and the standard LMS dining car was 68 feet in length with 6-wheel bogies. So these Trix coaches are definitely a bit of a fictional approximation, but I still thought it would be interesting to see them running on my Dublo tabletop. I coupled one of the Trix coaches up behind my 264 tank engine in LMS Crimson, a Wren body on a Dublo 3-rail chassis. The Trix coaches came with simplex couplings. Trix adopted those couplings not long after Hornby did. I seem to remember reading that it took a lawsuit to get Trix to actually pay for using the Pico simplex design. This coach coupled up okay to the loco, although the couplings weren't quite at the same height, which is quite often an issue. As soon as the Trix coach got to a Dublo point, it promptly derailed and came uncoupled from the loco. This didn't surprise me at all, as I know that the wheels on earlier Trix rolling stock simply won't run over Dublo points and crossings. Later Trix stock, with what they called fine scale wheels, will run okay, but it's hard to know when buying Trix items, and the old style wheels seem much more common than the fine scale ones. The back-to-back gauging on the wheels of these coaches was less than 11mm as they came. With that narrow gauging, the wheels won't even begin to get across a Dublo point. You can see a pair of the Trix wheels here, still with their original gauging. Now, to continue over the Dublo point, the wheels would need to go where I've drawn the 2 red lines in this picture, the right wheel between the guide rail and the main outer rail, and the left wheel going through the groove in the metal frog. Clearly, gauged as they are, there's no way these wheels can pass through as intended, so they're simply going to get knocked off the track when they try. I re-gauged the wheels as much as I could manage while still leaving pivots outside, as seen here. Still well under standard, as the wheels are so thick. Re-gauged like that, the wheels were able to pass outside the guide rail and through the groove in the frog, but the flanges on the wheels were so large that the base of the groove in the frog pushed them up, so the left wheel here is significantly higher than the right wheel. This will still tend to derail the coach, if the wheels will even turn freely in the bogies gauged like this. So I figured that the only way I was going to get these coaches running on my 3-rail tracks would be by re-wheeling them. I removed all of the wheels from one of the Trix coaches. This wasn't difficult to do. The ends of the axles were rounded and were fitted into holes in hangers on the bogies. It was possible to pop them out without other disassembly. The wheel hangers were riveted to the bogies and not intended to come off as far as I could see. Actually, as you may see here, the wheel hangers were actually just part of the main central sheet metal section of the bogie, and it was the outer die-cast parts of the bogie that were then riveted onto each side. In any case, it was possible to bend out the sides of the bogies a bit and so to pop the axles out or to pop new axles in. These were some wheels from Dublo 3-rail tank wagons that I converted for 2-rail running a while ago, replacing these wheels with insulated ones. They were a bit dirty, so I cleaned them with a bronze brush in a rotary tool. I fitted those 3-rail Dublo wagon wheels into the Trix bogies. They actually fitted quite well, just popping into the holes in the Trix bogies without any need for further modification. I tried that re-wheeled coach on the tracks behind my 264 tank. The coupling on the coach was quite a bit higher than the coupling on the loco, but it held. The metal simplex couplings can be bent to make them higher or lower, but it would be nice to try to have everything at a standard height. With its new wheels, this coach was able to get round the Dublo track without any problems on the points. I took the wheels off another of the Trix coaches to re-wheel it. I wasn't intending to do all of them, but I thought it would be good to do 3, 2 of the brakes and 1 of the dining cars, so to make up some sort of approximation to a sensible train. Unfortunately, I didn't have any more of the Dublo wagon wheels loose on hand, so I had to look in other directions to obtain Dublo wheels for the Trix coaches. I had several of these Dublo wagon bogies as spares, so I elected to steal the wheels from a pair of these for one of the Trix coaches. The wheel hangers on the Dublo bogies are separate parts, held on by tabs that go up through the die-cast bogie body. You can see the tabs of the wheel hangers folded down on the bogie at left here, and on the bogie at right I have bent the tabs up to allow the wheel hangers to be removed. With the tabs bent straight, the wheel hangers can be pulled down out of the bogie, allowing the axles to be removed. I removed all 4 axles from the wagon bogies and refitted the wheel hangers just so they wouldn't get lost. Now I fitted those wheels to the next Trix coach. And I tried that one on the tracks behind the previously re-wheeled example. Again, I had a bit of trouble with the coupling heights, but other than that, the 2 re-wheeled Trix coaches ran fine. I noticed that the roof of one of the Trix coaches that I'd re-wheeled was in rather poor condition with a lot of rust. None of the Trix roofs were in great condition, but some were better than others. The roofs of the Trix coaches could be removed by simply sliding them off the end. I put a roof in better condition onto the coach that I had re-wheeled. The glazing was in poor condition, broken at the ends on all of the Trix coaches, so I had to think about what I could do about that. Meanwhile, I went on to remove the wheels from a 3rd Trix coach to complete my intended running rake of 3. I had been given this Dublo blood and custard coach with a broken coupling. I don't run British Railways, so I figured that I would steal the wheels from this for my 3rd Trix coach. Because the bogies were riveted onto this coach, I couldn't readily get at the tops of the bogies to straighten the wheel hanger tabs, so I just pried the wheel hangers loose with a screwdriver from below. This allowed me to remove all of the axles from the blood and custard coach. Then I refitted the wheel hangers as best as I could. I fitted those wheels to the third Trix coach. So far as I could see, all of the Dublo wheels that I fitted were alike, although they were sourced from 3 different types of Dublo 3-rail rolling stock, a 4-wheeled tank wagon, wagon bogies, and a BR coach. I cobbled up all 3 re-wheeled Trix coaches behind the tank engine. Their roofs weren't in great shape, but I thought that they were acceptable now. I ran that complete train round for a bit and encountered no problems. Next, I did want to do something about the very poor condition of the glazing in the Trix coaches. The glazing was held onto the sides of the coaches with little metal tabs, 2 in the middle of each side, as seen here, and then 1 at each end. It seemed that these tabs were basically the source of the problems. The glazing pieces had apparently contracted a bit over time, resulting in the end tabs ripping off the end sections of the glazing. This was true in every case. I looked for some suitable transparent material to use for replacement glazing. I thought that the transparent panels in these mainline coach boxes might work. I removed the transparent panel from one of the mainline boxes. Unfortunately, it turned out to be too thin, thinner even than regular paper, and so too floppy to make effective glazing. The original glazing pieces were quite thick and rigid. I bent the tabs straight in order to remove the original glazing. As noted, in every case the ends of the original glazing pieces had broken off. I found a blister pack from an item that I bought which seemed more suitable for use as glazing, being quite rigid and suitably flat and clear in substantial sections. I marked the length of the original glazing off on this blister pack and cut a section. I tried that piece against the coach to make sure it would fit and cover all of the windows. I marked the position of the coach tabs on the new glazing piece with a marker. I tried mounting the first piece that I cut by making slits and pushing the coach tabs through. I wasn't very happy with the results of that, as the tabs created visible damage in the new glazing piece. The result was better than the original glazing as it came, but still I thought that generally I'd be better off not trying to use the metal tabs to hold on the new glazing. I used a grinding head in a rotary tool to grind off the tabs on the other side of the coach. Then I glued the new glazing piece in place using 3-in-1 glue between the window openings. This seemed to produce a better result. I put the roof back onto that coach. And I went on to the next one. The broken glazing at the ends looks quite nasty. The grooves in the glazing where the centre tabs fit are visible. I removed the roof from this coach. Both ends of both glazing pieces were broken. I straightened the tabs, removed the old glazing, and then used the rotary tool to grind off the tabs as neatly as I could manage. Again, I glued new glazing pieces in place and refitted the roof. And the same thing for the third coach, grinding off the tabs so that the glazing could fit flat without damaging the window frames was quite fiddly, but I did my best. The 3-in-1 glue isn't the easiest thing to work with. It tends to string, that is, you apply some and you pull the bottle away and you tend to get like a web string coming out. So you get glue where you don't really want it if you're not careful. I refitted the roof to that coach. Although this was one of the better Trix roofs, it did have a nasty rusty patch on one side. Here's the other side of that coach. The glazing does look better than before. I tried to touch up the rusty spot on the roof with some grey paint, to make it a little less obvious at least. I got all 3 Trix coaches back onto the tracks. Not the world's most sensible train with a dining car and 2 brake thirds, and there are no corridor connectors on these coaches. Still, I don't think I'm going to do anything else to these coaches for now. They do at least run okay now, and they don't look too bad. Here's the dining car. And the rear brake coach. And the front brake coach. Slight glue marks on the windows, but still looking better than when it arrived, I think, and certainly running better. So now I'll finish with a little running video. So now let me just try and show you these Trix coaches fixed up as best as I can do with new wheels and new windows running on the layout there. That's the Trix coaches on the main line there behind the 264 tank with the Wren body, and next to them are those 3 articulated coaches that featured in my previous video. So you can see now they're based on just standard Dublo suburban, non-corridor coaches. So you can see the Trix coaches are quite a bit shorter than those, but still not tiny. Anyway, let's see if we can get the train to run. That Trix loco, or that Wren loco, always seems to start with rather a jerk for some reason. It goes reasonably smoothly once it's going, but it starts off with a jerk. Zoom in a little bit there to give you a better view, but try and slow down here as we pass through the other camera. I'm going to speed up a bit here, else we'll get stuck on the points if we're not careful. So there you go.